Right, I'm going to show you how I make my sourdough bread. Now, first of all, you need a starter. This is the hardest thing. I'm not going to show you how to make that, but I'm going to show you what you do and the 3 steps when you have a starter. Now, you can create a starter from scratch. It's a whole process that takes about 6 days. Or if your friends have starters, you can get them to activate and feed their starter and then give you some. So I have 150 grams of starter in here. Now I want to activate this. So I'm going to add 75 grams of flour. Now I'm using this Wild Farms, and if you watch Clarkson's Farm, which I do because I'm thoroughly obsessed with it, you will see that they're on there talking about how they farm, regenerative farming, they do companion planting, they don't use any pesticides, and it's basically getting the soil back into a good state after a lot of monocultures. So that's where this is from. You can use any bread flour, and this is obviously their bread flour. So 75 grams of flour, and then 75 grams of water, which I measured out, or 75 millilitres of water, which I measured out earlier. Pour that in, and then you just give it a good mix. I use a spatula because what you want to do is you want to get these sides of your jar nice and clean. So there's basically 3 steps, and this is the first step. This is activating your starter, and from this we'll leave it for 12 hours, and then we'll have another 150 grams of starter that we're going to use to make the bread. So it's mixed up now. Get the sides nice and clean so you can see if it's risen. Pop your lid on loosely. Now I move this band up to the bottom level of the starter. So I do this. And that way I can see if it's risen. Now I'm going to leave this for 12 hours. That's first step, activating your starter. And the next step will be making the dough for it. So we'll come back in 12 hours. So we've got our 150 gram starter in the bowl. Stick that to 0. Now we're going to add 500 grams of flour. Don't need to sieve it, so easy, just pour it in. I like to put this in second because if I pour a little bit too much on, like I have done there, I can just spoon it back out. So we've got 500 grams of flour, 360 millilitres or 160 grams of water, and then 10 grams of salt. And then what we're going to do is mix it up. Now the thing is with this sourdough is you don't have to knead it. That's why I love it. It's so easy to make. I'm literally going to do this in real time and show you how quick it is. That's the kind of consistency to mix it all in together. And then use your spatula again to scrape around the sides. And that's basically it. That's as long as it takes to mix all the ingredients together. And it is pretty doughy. You don't have to add extra flour. So that is step 2. Now we leave this for 12 hours again. And then we'll go to step 3, which is baking it, sorry. Step 3, baking the bread. So there's your dough. Cover it up, put a tea towel across, and leave that till later. Step 2. So this is our last and final step. Step 3. Oven is preheated to 230, and here is my dough. Look, you can see it's really risen, and it's really simple now. I have a Pyrex dish and I put some greaseproof paper in it, and I'm literally going to just let this fold into the bowl. So using my spatula around the edges, I'm just going to pour the dough in here. Like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bake it in the oven. As I said, preheated at 230 degrees. We're going to bake it in the oven for 30 minutes with a lid on. Then you'll start to see some cracks. If you don't see the cracks, you can leave it in, you know, another 5 minutes. You want to see some cracks in the top of the bread. And then once you see those cracks, just getting the last bit out here. Once you see those cracks, take the lid off and bake it for another 15 minutes. And that's basically it. So here's our Pyrex dish. Pop the lid on. Oh, oven's just beeped, it's preheated, and I'll show you the result in 45 minutes. So it's baked for 30 minutes. I've removed the lid and you can see here these great little cracks. So I'm going to put it back in now for another 15 minutes. Here you go, absolutely beautiful. Now all you have to do is take it out the bowl, you can keep the paper on it and place it onto a rack to cool down. Beautiful.